So today we're going to be looking at Ableton's Resonators plugin, and it's a bit of a weird plugin. You know, it's another one of those that tends not to get used that often, but as I found playing around, you can get some really cool sounds out of it. It does take a little bit of tweaking, and for that reason I've had to kind of sculpt some of these loops first, so we're not messing around, just kind of twiddling around. But I'll explain what I've done, and then we'll go through them that way. So in this first one, we've got this percussion loop here, taken from the permission pack. And for the first example, I wanted to turn that into a percussive chord loop. So you're kind of using the percussion loop as the trigger or the carrier sort of thing, like the vocoder would act, you know, where it kind of like uses it as the initiator of the sound. So you're using that as the trigger for the sound. So I'll just switch this on and you can have a quick listen to what it's doing. So the way it works is that you kind of set the root note with this one here, which is quite handy because you can pitch it to the key of your project. And then you start to add in extra notes. So the same way that you would program a synth, really, you'd start to add in extra oscillators. Like if you've got 3 oscillators and you can put 1 out of 7 from 1 out of 12 and things like that. So you can go in and start to move these around like this. So you can really start to sculpt like a nice chordal pattern, and you just get like a really weird sound out of it. And then you've got the decay here, which you can push up and down. And you've got the option to kind of blend it back in with the original sound as well. And a width knob, obviously, to bring it down to mono or wide. And then on the left hand side, you've got filter settings as well, so you can switch that off or you can use it. I mean, the bandpass is quite useful. I'll quickly show you that. So you can isolate a specific sound, I mean a specific frequency. So that's quite useful. And then obviously on the top you've got these little buttons where you can switch off the notes, so you can switch them all off and just have the root note and start to add them in. And then the mode, I'm not really too sure on what this does. I'd have to read the manual, but I think, like, for me it just makes it like not as tonal. It's like atonal sounding, like a bit dissonant, which could be quite good for techno. Actually, if I was making a techno track right now, I probably would switch it over to B. That'd probably work a bit better. This is really like chordal. And then the constant as well, I was playing around with this, so if you switch it off, on some of the later examples it seemed to tighten up the sound a little bit when I put it on const. And then on the bottom here, apart from the gains, you've got these kind of like little nudges here, they're like detune, so you can like slightly detune all of these as well. And then lastly, the color. So you can really shape the tone of the, it kind of acts like a filter, to be honest. Shape the tone, make it darker or brighter. So another thing with Ableton's Resonator is once you've took like a percussive loop and you turn it into a chord, you can then automate the changes on the root note. So you can change the root note as the pattern goes along to create melodies or to create changes in chord root notes. So what I've done here is I've gone into the MIDI clip, sorry, not the MIDI clip, I've gone into the audio clip and I've drawn in a few changes here, if you can see that line. So it's just a 4-bar loop, but then after the first bar it changes note, it goes up a few, and then on the third and fourth it drops down and then goes back to the original one. So check this out and just watch it move on here. So there you go, we've kind of turned a percussive loop into like a synth sound, and we're able to open up the decay, and also you could open up this filter as well, so you could have that like So there's the first example and just a quick run around the Resonators plugin to give you an idea of how to use it and what it does. And in this second example, we're going to turn this low percussive loop into like a dark synth sound. So here's the loop. So it's them kind of like really low tom rumble sounds that I want to extend and make them more tonal. And then the way that I've done this on the resonator is to bring the root note all the way down. I found that when you really do bring this all the way down to C1, it starts to like drag the sound out a little bit. It sounds like when you've got a clip and then you start to like stretch the notes out. It's got like some weird artifacts thing going on. Which is quite nice. So have a listen to this. So this is before. So I felt that was quite nice using it that way. And then for the third one, we can use it as a delay, which is a little bit weird. I kind of stumbled upon this. So if I've switched this on and just use the first single one and bring it all the way down. The way I said it kind of stretches the sound out. I found that if you bring this all the way down to C1 again, and don't have any of these on, and then you play around, you obviously put the dry wet to like 30-40%, turn the gain up a little bit, and then you can use the decay to kind of add in like this delayed sound. So check this out. Sorry, this is the original. So yeah, I thought it was really good. You can kind of like I like to try and manipulate plugins and use them in ways that you're not supposed to, or the one intended. And I thought like trying to twist it so it gives you like this delayed sound was quite interesting. And then obviously you've got the option to then start messing around with the extra bits. So as you turn the decay, you could start to move this root note around. I think that'd work on something that wasn't as melodic, maybe like a percussive sound. Let's try that now actually. So where's this permission one? And now let's try it on this one. Yeah, so it does work a lot better on percussive stuff. Well, it was like a nice little effect that you could do. And then on the fourth one, we've got this sound here. What I wanted to do was kind of like change the sound quite drastically. So it's still got the same tone and everything, but it just sounds like thicker and wider and just a little bit different. So check this out. So this is before. Yeah, so you can really just kind of like take any loop and just play around with it and sculpt it so it sounds completely different to the original, but you're still keeping the same pattern and everything. And the last way to kind of manipulate this plugin, which I found, was to use it in a way to add some top-end fizz to a loop. So I did this by manipulating like the frequency band here. So if you put it on bandpass, so you just isolate in a specific frequency. On this case, like around 6K. And then you can use the dry wet and start to blend in some of that top. So check this out. This is the original. Yes, I felt that was pretty cool. Instead of just kind of reaching for an EQ and boosting the top end, I thought this was like a really creative way to do it, which kind of give the original synth loop a little bit more edge and fizz in the top end. And then to do this, it was just basically, again, just a case of messing around with the settings. So I found that the root note was G, and I thought it might be useful to put the root note here in G. So what I did, let's have a quick listen and start to play around with it. So yeah, that bit there, I put that in G, and then I started to mess around with these until I liked the tone of the sound and it sounded brighter. So without these on, it sounds like this. And then once I found the kind of bright sound I was looking for, then I brought the decay down to match the original. But also just to add a little bit more thickness to the original as well. And then, as I said with the filter, so this is the filter off. But I want to boost the top end, so we stuck it on the bandpass and then dialed it in till we got to a point where I liked the tone of the fizz and I wanted to add that into the original sound, like this. And then after that, it's just a case of just dialing back in the wet over the dry sound. So there was a quick run around Ableton's Resonator plugin, and next I'd like to know, is the Resonator something that you use in your tracks quite often? Is it one of those plugins that just never gets used, never gets looked at once you've flicked through the initial, I think it's like 7 presets? I know it was a long time until I started using this. I think I've only used it in one track really, but obviously playing around with it in this way makes me think a little bit differently about this plugin and how it could be used very creatively. Especially when messing with loops and trying to make them unique and make them try and sound a little bit more different and like you, rather than just using them as they are. So please let us know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I can't wait to check them out. Thank you, and I'll catch you next time.